Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about the resistance you start to feel when you finally set boundaries. Not when you're going along to get along to keep the peace. Not when everything feels smooth and easy. But when you start saying no and actually mean it. This message is for my empaths. For those of you who can walk into a room and already know what's going on. Nobody has to say anything to you. You are the type of person that can read the room. You can sense when something feels off. You don't just see people, you feel them. But something interesting changes when you start healing. And if you're in that space right now, I'm talking directly to you. So let's get into it. On this healing journey, as you become everything that God has called and created you to be, there is something you need to understand from the very beginning. And that is that your gift, which is your empathy, has to be stewarded. It has to be protected because you're going to realize quickly that everything you discern is not your responsibility. And that can be hard for somebody like you. See, you don't just notice what's going on beneath the surface. You can feel it. You pick up on it. And somewhere along the way, you were conditioned to respond to it. When something felt off, you stepped in. When there was a need, you filled it. When things were falling apart, you held them all together. That became your role. You were the one people leaned on, the one who showed up, the one who made sure that everything stayed intact. And for a long time, you called that love. But listen, healing will show you something deeper than that. You weren't just loving people, you were over identifying with what wasn't yours to manage. And that's where things begin to fall out of alignment because your gift can pull you into assignments that God never gave you. This is why scripture says to guard your heart, not close it, but guard it. And when you start guarding it, that's when everything begins to change. Something shifts in you as you heal. You get quieter, not because you have nothing to say, but because you're no longer available for everything and everyone. You stop over explaining yourself. You stop showing up out of obligation. You stop giving access just because somebody expects you to be there. And now you start asking different questions. Like, does this person actually value me or do they value what I carry? Because you're starting to realize something. Just because you can feel what people need does not mean that it's your job to meet it. And that's when you start setting them boundaries, not to punish people, but to protect what God gave you. But that's when the resistance starts. And I need you to understand this. Not all resistance is the same. Some of you are not just dealing with people who are hurting. You're dealing with people who are insecure. I'm talking about the insecure parent, the insecure manager, the insecure church leader, the insecure friend, maybe that narcissistic ex. See, these are people who are threatened by what they see in you. They can feel your growth, they can see your life leveling up, but they also recognize that you're becoming someone that they can't control the same way anymore. And instead of honoring that, they resist it because insecurity does not celebrate what it does not understand. But guess what? It competes with it. See, scripture says that where there is envy and selfish ambition, there will be disorder. So when things start to feel tense or awkward or chaotic, that is not random. God is allowing it to be revealed. And your growth is confronting something in them. And listen, when these type of people get introduced to your boundaries, they don't just get uncomfortable. They get strategic. They start shifting and snaking and slithering, okay? They start withholding. They're like, if you're going to act like this, then I'm pulling back too. These are the type of people that withhold opportunities. They withhold support. They withhold communication and sometimes even affection. At work, it may look like you being overlooked, you being passed up on something. Maybe all of a sudden they don't value you the same way. In your relationships, it can look like distance or ghosting or not being invited to something. Not because you did something wrong, but because you're no longer overextending yourself to keep things comfortable for them. See, this is control, okay? And control, we know control comes from the spirit of manipulation. Just because somebody withdraws from you does not mean you need to shrink to keep them around. So the real question is, where have you been staying in alignment with people, but out of alignment with God? Because the moment you set a boundary, everything gets tested. Will you bend like a pipe cleaner just to keep the peace? Or will you stand 10 toes down on truth, even if it costs you the relationship or the position? Because some people are not responding, they're conditioning you. They're like, If you don't give me what I want, I'll take something from you. And of course, they're not saying this out loud, but their actions are. And that is not love. That is, remember, manipulation. See, insecure people don't mind your gift as long as it's benefiting them. But the moment that you start thinking for yourself, the moment you're no longer easy to control, that's when it becomes a problem. And for some of you, this is the exact moment where everything starts to separate. Some people are going to walk out of your life. And I know that part hurts because even when something is unhealthy, you're still going to feel it. You're still going to grieve it. But let's go to John chapter 6. In John chapter 6, Jesus spoke truth and people walked away from him. But notice how he didn't chase them. He didn't adjust himself to keep them. He let them go because not everyone is assigned to stay. Some people were only connected to the version of you that didn't have boundaries. So when you leveled up, they left and you got to let them leave. So I want you to remember, the resistance you're experiencing is not a sign that you did something wrong. It's confirmation that you did something right. Some of you are not being rejected. It's just that your access is being revoked because you're no longer easy to control. So stop second guessing yourself. Stop feeling bad for setting boundaries just because somebody doesn't like them. This is your season to become disciplined with your gift and selective with your access. You're around broken people, and not everything broken needs fixing. So get to a place where you hand out forgiveness like candy, because God elevates those who can forgive their enemies. But remember this, forgiveness does not mean access. So if they get mad at you for setting them boundaries, let them. If they pull back from you, let them. If they mislabel you, let them. If they run an entire smear campaign on you, let them. Because your obedience to God is more important than their opinion will ever be. And where God is taking you, it requires a version of you that is not easily accessed, drained, or controlled. So I want you to get excited, step into that, walk into that, and please don't apologize for it, because God has something exciting for you. If this message spoke to you, I want you to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, y'all, you have access to those resources in the description box below. I love you with the love of Christ, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.